Good morning, respected teachers and my dear friends. Today, we, the students of Group 2, are here to present a short role play on the topic Mother's Day, written by J.P. Priestley. I am as narrator, and the other characters are as follows. This humorous play portrays the status of a mother in the family. The author brings out the plight of the mother very realistically in the play. Mrs. Annie Pearson, the mother, is not well treated by her husband and children. With the help of a neighbor and a magic spell which temporarily allows them to interchange their role, she fights for her rights. Mrs. Annie Pearson's family is shocked at the change, but they learn how to behave properly with her so that she gets the respect that she deserves. This is a scene of the living room of the Pearson house. It is an afternoon in an early autumn season. Mrs. Pearson and Fitzgerald are sitting opposite to each other on a moving table. Mrs. Pearson is a pleasant but worried looking woman in the 40s, and Mrs. Fitzgerald is older, heavier, and sinister personality.
And that's all I can tell you, Mrs. Pearson. It could be a good fortune, could be a bad one. It all depends on yourself. Make your mind, and there it is.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Fitzgerald. I'm much obliged, I'm sure. It's wonderful having a real fortune teller living next door. Did you learn that out east too?
Yes, I did. 12 years I had of it. With my old man rising to be the lieutenant quartermaster, he learnt a lot. But I learnt even more. But now will you make up your mind, Mrs. Pearson? It's the time to keep the foot down, to be the boss of your own family, the master of your own house.
That's easier said than done. Besides, I'm so fond of them, even if they're so thoughtless and selfish. They don't mean to be.
Maybe not, but it would be better for them if they learn to treat you properly, Mrs. Pearson.
Yes, I suppose it would, in a way.
Certainly, there's no doubt about it. Who's better for being spoiled? A grown man? A lad? A girl? Nobody. What good do you think it does to them when you run after them? Take their orders as if you were their servant, or stay home every night while they go on enjoying themselves? Nothing in your whole life. Daughters, sons, husbands should know how to treat their mothers and wives, not commanding them or treating them like dirt. And don't tell me that I don't know, because I know more than you've told me.
I keep dropping a hint.
Hints. Your family needs more than hints, Mrs. Pearson.
I suppose it is, but I do hate any unpleasantness, and it's so hard to know where to start. I keep making up my mind to have it out with them, but somehow I don't know how to begin. Oh, good gracious, look at the time. Nothing ready, and they'll be home any minute, and probably all in a hurry to go out again.
Let them wait, or at least look after themselves. This is where your foot goes down. Start now, Mrs. Pearson.
Mrs. Fitzgerald, I know you mean well. In fact, I agree with you, but I just can't. And it's no use you trying to make me. If I promise you, I would really have it out with them. I know I wouldn't be able to keep my promise.
So then, let me do it.
Oh, no, thank you very much, Mrs. Fitzgerald, but that wouldn't do at all. It wouldn't possibly be somebody else. They would resent it at once and wouldn't listen. And really, I couldn't blame them. I know I ought to do it, but you see how it is.
You haven't got the idea yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you asked me to let you do it.
I did, but not as me, as you.
But I don't understand. You couldn't be me.
I propose we change places, or really, bodies. You look like me, and I look like you.
But that's impossible.
How do you know? Ever tried it?
No, of course not.
I have. Not for some time, but it still ought to work. It won't last long, but long enough for our work. I learned these tricks out east. Okay, fine. Give me a hand, dear.
Well, I don't know. Is it right?
It's your last chance. Give me your hands and stay quiet a minute. Don't think about anything. Give me your hand. Ashitattalam, ashitattalam.
See what I mean, dear. Here, don't you want that?
Oh, it happened.
Of course, it happened. Very neat. Didn't know I had it in me.
But whatever shall I do, Mrs. Fitzgerald? George and the children, they can't see me like this.
They aren't going to. That's the point. They'll have me to deal with. Only they won't know it.
But what if we can't change back? It would be terrible.
There. Steady, Mrs. Pearson. If you had to live my life, it wouldn't be so bad. You would have more fun as me than you have had as you.
Yes, but I don't want to be anybody else.
Now stop worrying. It's easier changing back. I can do it anytime we want.
Well, do it now.
Not likely. First, I have got to deal with your family. That's the idea, isn't it? You said you didn't know how to begin with them. Well, I'll show you.
What am I going to do?
Go into my house for a bit. There's nobody there. Then pop back and see how we are doing. You ought to enjoy it. Better get off now before one of them comes.
Yes, I suppose that's best. You sure it will be all right?
It will be wonderful. Now off you go, dear.
Mum, you'll have to iron my yellow silk. I must wear it tonight. What are you doing?
What do you think I'm doing? Whitewashing the ceiling?
But you're smoking?
That's right, dear. No law against it. Is it there?
But I thought you didn't smoke.
Well, then you thought wrong.
Are we having tea in the kitchen?
Have it where you like, dear.
Do you mean it is not ready?
This isn't. I had all I want. Might go out to Clarendon for a square meal.
Who might?
I might. Who do you think?
Mom, what's the matter with you?
Don't be silly.
It's not me being silly, and I must say, when I have been working hard all day and you can't even bother to get me a tea ready. Did you heard what I said about yellow silk?
No. Don't you like it now? I never did.
Of course I like it and I want to wear it tonight. So I want it ironed.
Want it iron? What do you think it's going to do? Iron itself?
You are going to iron it for me? You always do.
Well, this time I don't. And don't talk to me rubbish about working hard. I have a good idea how much you do, Doris Pearson. I put in twice the hours you do, still get no wages and no thanks for it. By the way, why are you going to wear your yellow silk? Where are you going?
Out with Charlie's friends.
Why?
Why? What's the matter with you? Why shouldn't I go out with Charlie's friends? If he asks me and I want to. Any objection? Go on, you might as well tell me.
Can't you find anybody better? I wouldn't be seen dead with Charlie Spence, buck teeth and half-witted.
He isn't.
When I was your age, I would have found somebody better than Charlie Spence, or would have given myself up as a bad job.
Oh, shut up.
Hey mom, have you made the tea? Why
No,
not? Why not?
I couldn't bother.
Well, do it fast. I don't have much time.
Never felt better in my life.
What's the idea?
Just a change.
Well, do it fast. I don't have much time.
I have plenty of time.
I haven't. Got up busy tonight. Did you put my things out?
Can't remember, but I doubt it.
But when I asked you in the morning, you promised. You said you would have to look through. First, in case there was any mending.
Yes, well, now I've decided I don't like mending.
That's a nice way to talk. What would happen if we all talked like this?
You all do talk that way. If there's something at home you don't want to do, you don't do it. If it's something at work, you get the union to bar it. Now all that's happened is that I have joined the movement.
I didn't get this, Mom. What's going on?
Changes. You look terrible. I wouldn't wear that face even for Charlie Spence.
Oh, shut up about Charlie Spence. And anyhow, I'm not ready yet. And if I look terrible, it's your fault. You made me cry.
Why? What did she do?
Never you mind.
Have we any stout left? I can't remember.
Bottle or two, I think. But you don't want to stout now.
I do.
What for?
To drink. You clot.
Has she been like that with you too?
Yes, she hadn't made the tea for me.
Well, I'm glad it's both of us. I thought I have done something wrong.
So, did I? But it's her, of course.
She was smoking and playing cards, and when I entered the room, I couldn't believe my eyes.
I asked her if she was feeling off color, but she said she wasn't.
Well, suddenly she's all different, and that's what made me cry. It wasn't what she said, but the way she said it and the way she looked.
Haven't noticed that, but she looked just the same to me.
She does it to me. Do you think she could have hit her head or something? You know?
Do you mean she is balmy?
No, you fathead. You know concussion she might have.
Sounds far fetched.
Well, she's far-fetched, if you ask me.
Now then, what is it?
If she's like this when the dad comes home,
I'm staying in for that.
You two are always talking about being grown up. Why don't you both try for once to be your age?
Can't we laugh now?
Yes, if it's funny. Go on, tell me. Make me laugh. I could do with it.
you know you never understand our jokes, mom.
I was yawning at your jokes before you were born, Doris.
What is making you talk like this? What have we done?
Nothing, but come in, ask for something, and then go out again and come back when there's nowhere else to go.
Look, if you don't want to get tea ready, I will find something else for me.
Why not? Help yourself.
I think it's a bit thick because I am working all the day.
Same here.
8 hour day.
Yes, 8 hours a day, and better you don't forget it.
I have done my 8 hours.
But that's different.
Of course it is.
It was. Now it isn't. From now, 40 hours a week for all. Just watch at weekends when I have my 2 days off.
Must grab to eat something so as to keep my strength up.
Mommy, you are not going to do anything on Sunday and Saturday?
No, I wouldn't go that far. I might make the bed or two and do a bit of cooking as favor. Which means, of course, I'll have to be asked very nicely and thanked for everything and generally made a fuss of. But any of you 40-hour weeker who expect to be waited on hand and foot on Saturday and Sunday with no thanks for it are in for a nasty disappointment. Might go off the weekend perhaps.
Go for the weekend?
Why not? I could do with a change. Stuck here day after day, week after week. If I don't need a change, who does?
But where would you go? With whom will you go?
Well, that's my business. You don't ask me where you should go and with whom you should go with, do you?
That's different.
The only difference is that I'm a lot older and better than taking care of myself. So it's you who should do the asking.
Did you fall or hit yourself with something?
No, but if you don't stop asking your silly questions, girl, I'll hit you with something.
Oh, this is awful.
Stop blubbering. You're not a baby. If you're old enough to go out with Charlie Spence, you're old enough to behave properly. So now stop it.
Hello, what's this? Can't be anything to cry about.
You'll see.
Did she say you will see?
Yes?
What did she mean?
Better ask her.
Stout?
Yes?
But what are you drinking stout for?
Because I fancied some.
At this time of day?
Yes, what's wrong with it at this time of the day?
Nothing, I suppose, but Annie, I have never seen you do it before.
Well, you are seeing me now.
Yes, and I do not like it. I'm surprised at you, Annie.
Well, that ought to be a nice change for you.
What do you mean?
It must be some time since you were surprised at me, George.
I don't like surprises. By the way, I forgot to tell you, this morning I would not want any tea. Special snooker match at the club tonight, so no tea.
That's all right, there isn't any.
You mean you did not get any ready?
Yes, and a good thing too, as it's turned out.
That's all, very well, but suppose I had wanted more.
My goodness, listen to the man. Annoyed because I didn't get a tea for him that he doesn't even want. Ever tried that at the club?
Tried what at the club?
Going up to the bar and telling them that you don't want a glass of beer, but you're annoyed because they haven't already poured it out.
I don't know, what are you talking about?
They would laugh at you even more than they do now.
Laugh at me? They don't laugh at me.
Of course they do. You ought to have found it out by this time. Anybody else would have done. You are one of their standing jokes. Famous. They call you Pompey Ompy Pearson because they think you're so slow and pompous.
Never.
It's always beaten me why you should want to spend so much time at a place where people are laughing at you behind your back and calling you by names. Leaving your wife at home night after night instead of going out with her who doesn't make you look like a fool.
Here, Cyril, you have been me to the club once or twice. They don't laugh at me or call me a pompy person, do they? Do they tell me?
Well, yes, Dad, I'm afraid they do.
Well, I will be just damned.
You shouldn't have told him that, Mom. You have hurt his feelings and mine too.
Sometimes it does people good to have hurt their feelings. The truth ought not to hurt anybody for long. If your father didn't go to the club so often, perhaps they would stop laughing at him.
I doubt it.
Possibly you do. But what I doubt is whether your opinion's worth having. What do you know? Nothing. You spend too much time and good money at greyhound races and dirt tracks and ice shows.
Well, what if I do? I have got to enjoy somehow myself, haven't I?
I wouldn't mind so much if you were really enjoying yourself. But are you? And where's it getting you?
Might be for me. I will see.
Certainly I do. Ask her in. And don't call her a silly old bag either. She's a very nice woman with a lot more sense than you'll ever have.
I just wondered if everything is all right.
No, it isn't.
Of course it is. You be quiet.
Why should I be quiet?
Because I tell you to, you silly spoiled young pecan.
Oh no, surely.
Now, Mrs. Fitzgerald, let me manage my family in my own way, please.
Yes, but Cyril?
Mr. Kyle Pearson, to you, please. You have to say that, Mr. Fitzgerald.
Oh dear, what's happening?
Nothing much, just putting them in their places. That's all. Doing what you ought to have done long since.
Is George home?
Yes, I have been telling him what they think of him at the club.
Well, they think a lot of him, don't they?
No, they don't, and now he knows it.
Oh dear. I wish you hadn't, Mrs. Fitzgerald.
Nonsense! Doing them all a world of good, and they'll be eating out of your hands soon. You'll see.
I don't think I want them eating out of my hand.
Well, whatever you want, they'll be doing it. All three of them. Mark my words, Miss Pearson.
Just looked in for a minute. I suppose Mrs. Fitzgerald.
Well, yes, I suppose. George?
George?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What does it matter? Your name is George, isn't it? What do you think you are? Duke of Edinburgh?
What has he got to do with it? Just tell me that. And isn't it bad enough without her calling me George? Naughty, pompy person. And poor Doris has been crying her eyes out. Yes, crying her eyes out.
Oh dear, I ought to have known.
You ought to have known. Nothing to do with you, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Look, we are at sixes and sevens here just now, so perhaps you will excuse us.
I won't excuse you, George Pearson. Next time a friend and neighbor comes to see me, just say something when you see her. Good evening, or how do you do, or something. And don't just march in and sit down without a word. It's bad manners.
No, it's all right.
No, it isn't all right. We'll have some decent manners in this house, or I'll know the reason why. Well,
Well, what?
why don't you get off to your club? Special night tonight, isn't it? They'll be waiting for you, wanting to have a good laugh. Go on then, don't disappoint them.
That's right. Make me look silly in front of her now. Go on. Don't mind me. Poor Doris been crying her eyes out. Get the neighbors in to see the fun. All right. Let her hear it. What's the matter with you? Have you gone balmy or what?
You shout at me again like that, George Pearson, I'll slap your big fat silly face.
Oh, no, please, Mrs. Fitzgerald.
Either I am off my chump or you two are. How did you mean? No, please, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Look, you are Mrs. Fitzgerald. So why are you telling yourself to stop when you are not doing anything? Tell her to do it, then there had been some sense in it.
Say that again, George Pearson.
All right.
Hello, Doris dear.
Hello, Miss Fitzgerald.
I thought you were going out with Charlie Spence tonight.
What's that to do with you?
Stop that!
No, it's all right.
It isn't all right. I won't have a daughter of mine talking to anybody like that. Now answer Mrs. Fitzgerald properly, Doris, or just go upstairs. Well, answer her.
I was going out with Charlie Spence tonight, but I called it off.
Oh, what a pity. But why have you?
Because, if you must know, my mom is making me feel miserable and saying he has got buck teeth and is half-witted.
Oh, you shouldn't have said that.
Mrs. Fitzgerald, I'll manage my family. You manage yours.
Enough! Quite enough! Now listen, you two. I want to have a private little talk with Mrs. Pearson. So I'd be obliged if you two leave us alone for a few moments. I'll let you know once we are done. So go on, please. I promise you won't regret it. Because there are some things that only I can deal with. Mrs. Fitzgerald, we must change now. We really must.
Why?
Because this has gone far enough. I can see they're all miserable and I cannot bear it.
A bit more of the same would do them good, already making a great difference.
No, I can't stand any more of it. I really can't. We must change now. Please, Mrs. Fitzgerald, please hurry up.
Well, if you insist.
Yes, I do. Please, Mrs. Fitzgerald.
Quiet now. Relax.
Well, I enjoyed that.
I didn't.
Well, you ought to have done. Now listen, Mrs. Pearson. You don't go soft on them again, or else it will all be wasted.
I'll try not to, Mrs. Fitzgerald.
They've not had it as long as I'd like them to be given. Another hour or two's rough treatment might have made it certain.
I'm sure they'll do better now, though I don't know how I am going to explain.
Don't you start explaining or apologizing, or you're done for.
It's all right for you, Mrs. Fitzgerald. After all, they aren't your husband and children.
Now you listen to me. You admitted yourself that you were spoiling them and that they didn't appreciate you. Any apologies, any explanation, and you'll be right where you were. Just give them a look and a tone of voice every now and then. And to suggest you might be tough on them whenever you want it. And it ought to work. Anyhow, we can test it.
How?
Well, what is it that you'd like them to do that they don't? Stay home for once?
Yes, and give me a hand with supper.
Anything that you'd like them to do, that you enjoy, whether they do or not.
Well, yes, I like a nice game of rummy, but of course, I hardly ever have one, except for Christmas.
That will do. But remember, keep firm or you're done. Hey, you can come in now. But remember, keep a firm hand. I'm just off to let you enjoy yourself.
Yes, mother.
Seeing that you don't want to go out, I tell you what I had thought we would do.
Remember,
I thought we would have a nice family game of rummy, and then you children can get the supper ready while I have the talk with your father.
Yes, that's all right.
Well, I.
What? Speak up.
Oh, I think it would be lovely.
Goodbye, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Come again soon.
yes, dear. Night all.